Welcome to Rhody Wellness, where we explore all things health and self-care. Whether you're seeking mental clarity, physical fitness, or insight from students like you, we've got you covered. Welcome back to Rhody Wellness. I am Olivia, and I'm here with Ram Eva today. She is the residential academic mentor for the Nursing LLC. How are you today, Eva?
I'm great. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Absolutely fabulous. So, jumping right in, what made you want to become a nurse?
For me, it was like a personal reason. Seeing a family member being cared by nurses made me want to do that for other people. So definitely that experience kind of like changed my brain.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like a lot of nurses have that similar experience. Or Grey's Anatomy, I've heard.
Oh, yes.
And how has your experience been here at the URI Nursing School?
Really good. Of course, there are ups and downs and like trying to get through those bad days, but overall, it's a wonderful experience with the hands-on in classroom, with friends. It's a wonderful experience.
And before starting the URI nursing program, what are some things that you wish you knew before going in, or maybe your freshman year before you really jumped into clinicals?
Yeah, I wish I really took to heart or even had someone tell me, like everyone has their own journey. Easier said than done, but don't compare your journey to someone else's, especially if you come in on different levels almost. Also, it's difficult, but it's not impossible. You'll find a way through it. You'll persevere. You can do it.
Yeah, no, that's some really great advice. The not comparing yourself to others is great for anyone throughout their life.
100%.
So the inspiration for this podcast came directly from the students themselves, because nursing is such a hard and competitive program, and there's so much more requirements for nursing majors compared to other majors. Just throwing this in there, in a 2022 study in BMC Medical Education, they found that nursing students experienced anxiety, depression, and stress at higher rates compared to students in the same school that had other majors. So, do you have some insight on some other struggles that nursing students face in particular, and if you want to speak on that and how you deal with that or how you've heard other students deal with that?
Yeah. Every major is difficult in their own right, but definitely with nursing, you have a lot to balance. You have to maintain like a GPA of C or better in your courses while you're also trying to juggle the social aspects, what your peers put on you, what you are expected to know in class. Exam time is also very difficult of like, how am I supposed to get through 100 slides per chapter? Even in the upper level nursing courses, you have clinical plus exams. So the hands-on is great. I'm so happy that we get into that early, but you're also balancing. I have a Thursday night clinical, but I also have a Friday morning 8 a.m. exam. How am I supposed to like prepare for that and feel adequate? And so I personally will start studying a week in advance, so that way I let life happen to balance. Getting involved in campus also, that way I'm not just doing just academic stuff. I get out of the classroom, and honestly I think that helps actually with studying. If I come back with a fresh brain, I went to the gym, I need to go get that energy out, or even just getting outside of my room, because sometimes those thoughts can spiral. So stopping that spiral in of itself is really important.
That's a good point that you bring up. For nursing majors, you do have clinicals. I feel like not other majors have such a unique immersion into their career. Like, you can do an internship, but you're not like necessarily straight into that workforce. Like, you're like, what, it's like sophomore year, you're jumping straight into
sophomore spring.
Yeah, sophomore spring, you're jumping straight into like a hospital environment, working with people and seeing like sometimes some very graphic stuff.
100%.
So yeah, that's very heavy for anyone, but especially students who they already have the pressures of student life, academic life, social life, finances. There's so much other factors going in that. But
you have the support of clinical instructors and your professors to talk through that, but just experiencing it, like you just see, I will never forget my first clinical day. I will never ever forget my first clinical day. It was life-changing. Even though I knew I wanted to be a nurse, that really solidified it.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, for sure.
Great.
I was paired up with another student. I'm nervous. They're like, you just go in, you say, hi, I'm student nurse Eva. We're going to be taking care of you today. I was on a neuro floor, and their condition, they couldn't really talk, but they could hear. So trying to come up with other ways to communicate with them, or not ask questions, but just kind of like talk with them to make sure that they felt seen and heard. I remember doing head to toe you learn in your fall semester. So I remember going through head to toe, and I went, oh, can you show me a smile? And so at first she couldn't really smile all that big. And I went, oh, what a pretty smile. And then the real smile came out. And I felt that was the moment of like, I want people to feel seen in this environment. To be in a hospital setting, being so vulnerable. And for me, a 19-year-old, to kind of make you feel seen, to make you feel like even just pretty, of that's such a pretty smile, like touched me of like what I can do for others.
Yeah, that's such an amazing story. Wow. Like that's so incredible, and that's
Day one.
Yeah, and I hear from so many people like that's why they get into nursing too, is they at the core of it they want to help people. And so even though this is such a difficult program, like if you're a nursing major out there, give yourself a pat on the back, because like you're going to be helping people and you are already helping people, and it's difficult, but like in the end, especially if you're passionate about it, it's so worth it. I don't know if you can speak on that a little bit more too.
No matter the grade, no matter the number, you will be a wonderful nurse. It's really just like what comes from a little corny, but it's what comes from the heart, not from the number. And every day is not a good day in nursing. It's not going to be the best, but I like the saying, not every day is a good day, but there's always good to find in the day.
That goes into our next portion where I said all that stuff about nurses being much more stressed out, so we're not going to just leave you with that information. We're going to go into what you can do to succeed and to take care of your mental health. But first, we're going to break down the problems and address it one by one. So specifically talking about academics, what can they do to come back from that?
Yeah, I'd say connect with your resources. AAC is a wonderful one. Talking with your professors, they seem a little scary. They're humans just like us. Their office hours is a great resource. RAMs within the dorm, me personally, I love to chat about your successes, your failures. I've been in your shoes. I can help you through that. Just knowing that someone's there for you. Even if the study spot that you're using, get out of the dorm. Some people love to study in their rooms. I used to study in my room. Sometimes you just need a change of scenery. You just need a change of pace. Either going to CBLS to study instead, Avedisian, Whitehall, a little far, but it's a change of pace, or getting involved on campus. Instead of studying, being like, nope, I need fresh air. 15-minute walk. I'm gonna go walk for a little bit, come back, new headspace, or realize that's it for today. I'll try again tomorrow.
Studying is important, but you can't really do anything if you're burned out. So that's where a work-life balance comes into play, and it's so important, especially in this major.
I know test-taking anxiety is a huge one. When you've been like building up an exam of a lot is writing on it, anticipation is honestly the worst part of it. A negative spiral can form, and so you kind of need to be able to get yourself out of that. Easier said than done, but this is where I might call on my friends of like, hey, can you hype me up? Listening to music when I go to an exam. Also, during an exam, people get up at different times. I take my time, but I know if I see someone get up, I'm like, oh shoot, I am on like question 30 of 50. How did they already finish? If they get up earlier, it doesn't mean that they know it or that they're gonna get a 100. It's just they took their exam, they did the best that they could, they get up and they leave. If you need to take the time to take the exam, use up however much time that you have. Utilize that. Don't worry about other people getting up. It's easier said than done. Don't compare yourself. Take that time that you need for yourself.
Mm-hmm. And just because someone gets up, like you said, doesn't mean that they necessarily know the information. They might have not studied as well and they just finished. And yeah, so don't see that as like, oh, I'm struggling or time's running out. It's not, you know. And that's another tip to combat test-taking anxiety is eliminating those distractions. So whatever those sensory triggers are, whether it's people getting up and leaving, if it's the windows outside, people walking out, or, you know, the door opening and closing, you can eliminate that based on where you sit.
I've talked with the professor and she assigns seats at the beginning of the exam, and she's told me if someone needs to sit up front so that way they don't see people or sit towards the back, you don't even need to like say it to her. You just point And she goes, oh, okay, and knows exactly what you need. Like, it doesn't need to be a whole big, like, what were you saying, or something like that. She's like, I get what you need. I'll do that for you. I'm here for the student. And I really appreciated that. One thing that I would recommend, and this is gonna go against what happens in the dorm or what you hear from other people, I don't share my grade. I have seen, or I've even felt myself, where I got a 55 and someone got a 90, and I'm so happy for them. But then I compare of I'm doing more than them, or why are my strategies not working? And so that comparison can really lead into a downward spiral. Or if someone does bad and another person does bad, the blame starts getting toxic of like, oh, it must have been this or this. And while, yes, it could have been many different factors, I think you take it at face value and you move on of what can I do next time. And that way you have a better outlook on the classes, life, and it's not just focusing on this one bad grade. And so the question might be, well, then who do I tell? Because getting a bad grade can be very disheartening, or getting a wonderful grade, you want to share that. I would recommend, if you have great family support, calling mom or dad or a sibling or some family member that supports you. That is a wonderful way to get that hype, to feel seen and stuff like that. Also, as a RAM, I love celebrating the highs and acknowledging the lows. I've been in your shoes. I want you to be able to talk about this and know that there's a next step, whether you did well or bad.
And what else do you have to say to the students who are worried about falling behind?
Freshman year, you're getting your feet underneath you. Fall semester, you're like, this is my first ever college exam. Even the spring semester, I was like, oh, I got this. And then I got knocked down again. I was like, okay, I don't have this. It is perfectly fine. It happens, and you will find a balance. It may just take a little more time than others, or less time. I know that I really needed to take part in other things other than academics. Getting involved in clubs, getting into an intramural sports team, joining a exercise class. Within the academic portion of it, getting connected. I know the nursing program is now having a mentors program where you can connect with upperclassmen who have also been in your shoes, and it's a different perspective than mine. I feel like everyone has different experiences that you could learn from. The things that I advocate or share or say you should do this may not work for you, and hearing from a different perspective might click more. And so that's a really good option to also get that support and feeling like I can't do this. You have people here that want you to do well, even upperclassmen nursing majors that see you and want you to succeed.
Yeah, that sounds like such a great resource. And like you said, you can, like, students can go to you and they can go to them, and you can get so many different opinions and so much more information, and that just sounds like a great way to prepare yourself as an underclassman. Can you talk a little bit more about the nursing internship?
Yeah, for sure. You can join an internship after your first med-surg course, which is your sophomore spring semester. And so that's a great resource if you want to become a student nurse intern. You may need your CNA license, but you've already taken a clinical, and so this is essentially like a paid clinical experience that you get to see in the hospital. You don't have to do that if you feel like I'm doing so much, I have a different job, or I need something away from nursing. There's people who will do tech jobs. There's people who will do the respite that's on campus for kids with intellectual disabilities or different disabilities.
And I just want to emphasize too that this is another place where nursing differs so much from other majors. Other majors, it's essential that you get an internship, and that's like really where you get your foot in the door for a job post-graduation. But nurses are in such demand that you can still find a job just as easily without that internship. So don't be stressing and putting too much on your plate. Yes, moving on to burnout and mental health. We talked about it a little bit, but how can students prevent burnout and really take care of their mental health?
You learn so much about yourself in these 4 years of what you're capable of, and you're more capable of what you think when you're thrown into these experiences. I think setting up boundaries of, nope, tonight's my day off. I've heard from someone who will not study over the weekend. She studies Monday through Friday, will put in the work, does great. Weekends are for her. And she has stuck to that since freshman year. And I applaud that. Some people realize they can't do that. Maybe the weekend is a better time to study. But if I just took an exam in the morning, I'm not studying for the rest of the day. I'm going to go get a sweet treat. I'm going to go get a pick-me-up. It's the ups and downs of nursing.
Heavy on that sweet treat. Sorry.
Heavy on that sweet treat. Go get yourself a donut. The sweet treat doesn't even have to be money-wise. It can be, I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to go hang out with a friend that I haven't seen in a while. That is that sweet treat. I'm going to take time for myself. We're taught in nursing school that you can't pour from an empty cup. If you feel burnt out, how is that going to affect your patient care? Now, of course, that's what they say, but now when you actually act it, you need to set up those boundaries of, this is crucial to me. I need to take time for myself. Academics will come second.
Yeah, you can't care for someone else if you're not caring for yourself. Another thing that I want to emphasize too is just making sure your self-care needs are met. So just make sure you're eating well, make sure you're sleeping well, make sure that you're exercising, because exercising also has such strong benefits to improving your mental health. It increases, you might know this better than me, but some sort of hormone that makes you happy and decreases stress.
I know that
it increases like dopamine or serotonin, but I don't know which one.
Epinephrine. It's that like happy feeling after working out of like, okay, life will be okay.
Yeah, and you're also taking care of your physical needs and your physical body as well. So, and then just to end it off, I don't know if you can talk a little bit about how you manage a good work-life balance and really prioritize your mental health. I know sometimes it can be easier to hear an example from someone who's also in their shoes.
I don't like to go on social media after a long day. I've realized that if I go on a mindless scroll, it actually makes it worse of my thought. I can't process. And so that's why I read my book, because then I feel like, not that I'm focusing on those thoughts of how today should have gone or how today was so bad. I can't explain it, but if I go on social media, somehow those thoughts stay locked in my brain until it overflows, and then it all comes out. Whereas if I read my book, I guess it's also like in the same science of, if you read a book before you go to bed, it's better than being on your phone. It's a better way to decompress, to go read my book instead of mindlessly scroll on social media.
Well, it's less stimulating too, like scientifically, like what you said. So that's why I think that can be better for your mental health, because your brain was already so stimulated through studying, so now that's where that rest comes in, is just something that's enjoyable but not as stimulating.
Also, it's okay to say no to things. I'm a little introverted. My social battery can kind of run low. So I love to hang out with friends. And if I need to, I can take a step back. And actually, what's great is they understand that. And I think that's where you kind of also get to see of who's there to support you and be your friend, even during the tough times, where a part of me needs to go study, but then a part of me also will go and check up on my friends. And then also a part of me needs to take care of myself. And that might be, I need to go find a spot on campus where I can just shut the door or be by myself for a little bit. And either that might be taking care of my academics and me, where I'm just alone. It could be I need to be with people, so I will go do academics with other people. It could be I just need to be alone with my thoughts for a minute, especially after a long day. Going through a clinical day of what just happened, an exam day of, well, that just happened, or even just a long class day of, I just had anatomy and chem. What am I supposed to do now? I know I should do work, but it's dark out maybe at 4 p.m. and I really can't bring myself to go to the library, but I also can't do that in my room. And so realizing that and taking that boundary of saying even no to that, of I'll try again tomorrow. Today, I just need to listen to music and nothing else. I need to clean my room and nothing else. I need to read my book and nothing else. So kind of setting up that boundary within yourself of realizing and understanding. And I think after 4 years, you'll realize kind of what you need. Freshman year especially is realizing who you are, being independent, what you need. And I don't think that ever changes, especially being a senior. It never changes. Like, you're always going to still be learning what you're capable of, and you're more capable than what you think. And so kind of realizing that and going through life like that.
Such wise words. Wow. Yeah, no, I'm like in awe right now. But that's so real. Yeah, to any like nursing freshmen out there, that's the time to learn about yourself, learn what you need.
Any sophomore nursing major, any junior nursing major, working on yourself never ends. And even senior year, I'm realizing I'm much different than freshman year, but there's still aspects that I'm still working on, even within academics, even with outside of academics. I feel I have experiences that I can fall back on, but things are always still changing, where I'm like, this is a new situation that I need to navigate. What am I supposed to do? And it makes me feel like a freshman all over again, and that's perfectly fine as a sophomore, as a junior, as a senior. Even I think I'm starting to realize if that happens as a new grad.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think that's just how it is in life. You're always going to be learning about yourself because you're always going to be changing, and your environment's always going to be changing as well. And so adjusting with that is completely normal. But that's why it's good to build healthy habits of, hey, I know what my boundaries are, or I at least know that I want boundaries, at least, to protect my mental health. And prioritizing that is so important. Because one thing that doesn't change is, like, there's always going to be stressful situations. There's always going to be work to do. So even if you're like, I need to get all this done, there's always going to be something else that needs to get done. So that's why prioritizing time for yourself each and every day, and like you said, taking it day by day, just reiterating that because it's so important, is such a healthy habit to start building now.
If I can describe nursing school in like a sentence, it would be being comfortable with the uncomfortable. Every situation, going into a hospital room, going into a classroom, going into an office hour, taking an exam, being uncomfortable with the uncomfortable over and over and over again until you're like, yeah, I got this, I can do this.
Before we wrap up, a quick reminder that all information shared in today's podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. Thank you for listening to another episode of Rhody Wellness. If you like what you heard today, tune in every Tuesday on all podcast platforms for more. If you want to stay up to date on events and healthcare tips, please follow us at URI Health Promotions on Instagram. And if you have any ideas for future podcast episodes or more social media content that you'd like to see, please feel free to DM us or email us. Until next time, take care and stay healthy.